A lot of people make the same mistake when they end up moving to Livermore, and it ends up draining their energy and driving them completely crazy. I've lived here for 10 years and I've helped dozens of families move to the area, and I see firsthand what goes wrong, and it's usually something that can be avoided. By the time we finish this video, you will know how to make things work in Livermore and if it's even the right place for you to live. Let's dive in. All right, so here's the biggest mistake that people make when moving to Livermore, and it's not thinking enough about two things. Number one, the commute time. Number two, the heat, how hot it gets in Livermore in the summer. And it isn't just one or the other. The truth is that it's these two things combined that makes daily life here something that sometimes people just weren't quite expecting. Here's what usually happens. People see Livermore on a map and think since it's located in the Bay Area that it's within close distance to San Francisco and Silicon Valley. But let me be real with you. Livermore is actually about 44 miles east of each of those job centers, and it really does make a big difference when commuting. So let's talk about the commute. If you're heading to San Francisco, you're talking about 50 minutes, and that's when traffic is just normal. Getting to Apple's main office in Cupertino, that's about 45 minutes in normal traffic hours. And Google and Mountain View, it's about 42 minutes. But here's the tricky part. Commuting during rush hour, those times can easily go up by 30 to even 40 minutes. Most people think the drives on Highway 580 and 680 will be smooth, and many locals end up taking Highway 84, which also gets pretty crowded as well. In turn, this ends up making the drive longer and more frustrating. But here's the cool part about Livermore. Once you actually live here, you'll find out that the town actually offers some really cool events, like the world's fastest rodeo. The whole town shows up for it, and it really brings people together. But more on that later. For now, let's go back to the heat for a second. Summers here are no joke. Usually, we hit highs of about 88 degrees on most summer days, and lows still stay in the low 60 degrees. And from June through September, it's really dry here. And while some Bay Area cities do get local breezes that reach the East Bay up to about 16 miles per hour, they don't really reach us out here in Livermore. On days without a breeze, the temperatures usually hit over 100 degrees and still stay quite warm even well into the night. And that's where things get tough. For an example, if you're leaving work at 7 in the morning, it's already heating up. And when you get home from work at 6 p.m., it's still blazing hot in the summer months. And if your car's been sitting in the sun all day and you're one of those people who will park outside, it can feel like you're stepping into an oven. And here's where it gets really frustrating. Commuting in 100-degree weather that's stop and go with the air conditioning blasting can still be very frustrating. And it's not just wearing on you, it's actually bad for your car. But with all that said, here's one thing that people really miss about the weather. That hot, dry weather is what makes Livermore's wine valley thrive. It's why the vineyards do so well here. The soil, the heat, and the dry weather, well, those are all things that make wine better. It's the same kind of weather you'll find in Napa or Sonoma, except we're a little bit closer to the tech jobs in the Bay Area. And that's what makes Livermore so special. It definitely doesn't have that breezy coastal vibe. It has its own vibe, its own pace, and its own community that people really lean into. But to be honest, you need to understand this stuff before deciding if Livermore is really right for you. And that's why what I'm going to talk about next is the types of people who do really well here and the people who might find it harder to adjust. But before we jump in, if you're finding any of this information useful, don't forget to follow the subscribe button. I share tons of videos all about the local Livermore market, what we have to offer, and local hidden gems. Or you can email me at hello@sellwithaeg to connect anything Livermore. All right, here's the deal. If you work from home and you love having extra space, you are probably going to love it here. A lot of remote workers and families who want room to grow, a backyard to spread out, love living here and having offices that sometimes look out over wineries. Seriously, being able to take your afternoon Zoom call while looking out over the Altamont Hills is pretty awesome. And speaking of space, which I'll be talking about soon, in Livermore, you can actually find homes with large yards that are getting harder and harder to find in other Bay Area suburbs. But let's get back to what can be a struggle. If you're driving to San Francisco or Silicon Valley every day, that long, hot commute can really wear you out. Like I said, a mix of traffic and heat can push anyone's buttons. Plus, if you're expecting quick access to San Francisco or San Jose, Livermore probably isn't the place for you. This is definitely not a hop on the freeway and you're there kind of place. But here's what really surprises people. Some people think that Livermore is just going to be like every other suburb that's very simple and predictable. But this place, it's totally different. You got this really cool mix of rural suburb vibes. You've got historic charm with new modern amenities. You've got wine country feel with small town feel. And honestly, that's the best thing about Livermore. People who love being outside generally do great here as well. There are tons of parks, hiking trails, and vineyards. It's definitely not like packed cities where it's hard to find open space. In Livermore, you simply have it right around every corner. You can hike and bike through both the Pleasanton and Altamont passes. The gravel trails make it really easy to get around and great for a fun weekend adventure. One park in particular, Shadow Cliff, it's not just a park with a lake. It's actually part of this huge 126,000 park system. Shadow Cliff itself is 266 acres with an 80-acre lake in the middle. And it's one of the things that really sets Livermore apart. And now the families who do really well here are the families that simply accept Livermore for what it is and not what it can be. They like the wine country feel, and they're okay with the summer heat because they simply plan around it. And they either work from home or have figured out how to deal with the drive. And I've seen people really succeed when they adjust their routine to fit the weather and the commute. They might end up going outside early in the morning to get their walk-in before the heat starts or adjust their work hours to avoid traffic commute times. And some only go into the office a few days a week, which makes the commute easier as well. And this part is really cool. Neighbors help each other out when it's super hot. They share tips on when to water plants when it's hot outside, and there's this friendly feeling like, hey, we're in it together. And I'm not joking. My husband and I recently moved, and I walked outside to find my husband and the neighbor across the street talking about watering our plants. This really is a thing here. And this stuff matters when you're deciding if Livermore is right for you. So like I said, if you're coming from San Francisco or Silicon Valley, you might get frustrated dealing with your first summer in Livermore. But if you want space and community and that country charm, Livermore will be the perfect place for you. But the key is being honest with yourself about where your job is and the lifestyle you like to live. Can you work from home part of the time? Do you like the idea of living out in wine country? Are you comfortable with hot days during the summer months? These answers can help you decide if the trade-offs are worth it for you and your family. So now that you know who fits in here, let me show you some of the things that make people truly fall in love when they move into this community. First, the views here. They're seriously amazing. The hills here are covered in vineyards. We've got big green spaces and backyards that people can run around in. Plus, there are over 50 wineries nearby with rolling hills at nearby vineyards like Wente and Kincannon. These wineries have been around forever and in fact are some of California's oldest wineries. When it comes to schools, the numbers are pretty strong. The Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District ranks as some of the highest in the area. A bunch of the elementary schools here have A and A+ ratings, and oftentimes our schools have small student-to-teacher ratios. So they're smaller classes and they get more one-on-one attention from the teachers. And now for the downtown, that really shows what makes Livermore different. They fixed up First Street and they've turned it into a fun area where you can walk around and hang out. And while the downtown is rapidly growing, you still surprisingly get this small town feel, almost like what you see in the movies. As for local events, Livermore is known for the Livermore Rodeo, coined the fastest rodeo, and it brings locals from all over as well as people from the Tri-Valley into Livermore. It's a big thing that's celebrated every year. And our farmers market, it's one of the best I've ever been to. During the summer months, the farmers market is also open on Thursday evenings, but year-round it's open on Sundays, right here in our downtown along 2nd Street. But the best part about living here is honestly the way people connect. There are tons of local events, so many opportunities to volunteer, and venues that bring people together for any sort of event, wedding, or outdoor space you can possibly imagine. People here truly take pride in living here. They're proud of our wine country, they're proud of our historic charm, and they're proud that we have one of the best science labs in the country, and that is the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory. The families who love living here love that wine country suburban mix. They plan their summer around the hot weather, and they've figured out how to commute around rush hour traffic times. And they believe that the space, sense of community, and the schools make it all worth it. Plus, It's amazing how everything works together in Livermore. You might find yourself at the farmer's market in the morning, spend the afternoon at a winery, and end up at Shadow Cliffs at the lake with your kids in the hot summer evening. It's a blend of family life and wine country living that you really can't find anywhere else in the Bay Area. And it's also not just about all the events here. When people move into Livermore, they're shocked to see that neighbors actually say hello. There's a sense of community. People talk. People volunteer in the community. And local businesses, they're really doing great here too. New restaurants and stores keep popping up, but the town still feels friendly and laid back. It's a nice way where things are growing and we get new things, but it doesn't get in the way or interfere with what makes Livermore feel so unique and special. And there's even more on the way. Downtown Livermore is getting a huge makeover. People who like that mix of open space but a little bit of city are really thriving here with what the downtown is turning into. So here's the deal. If you want room to spread out, parks, wine country feel, top-rated schools, Livermore might be the perfect place for you, especially if you work from home or have a flexible schedule. But if you need to commute to San Francisco or Silicon Valley daily or really care for a more cool temperature, Livermore might not be right for you. So now that you got a full look at what it's like to really live here, the good stuff, the tough stuff, you can decide whether Livermore is right for you. Bottom line, if you really want to enjoy living in Livermore, you have to see it for what it is, a wine country suburb. Once you're okay with hot summers and a mix of country, you'll see why people truly love it here. And trust me, the families that do best are the ones who showed up knowing exactly what to expect. Thinking about moving to Livermore? I'm happy to help. I'm Amanda Elhassan. I'm your local Livermore real estate expert. I've helped tons of families move here and figure out why living here is so special. Don't forget to follow along and subscribe. And for a more detailed conversation about Livermore, you can email me at hello@sellwithaeg.com. Thank you for watching.